I welcome all of you to this course, that is an introduction to ancient Indian technology. And most of you are aware that this country is having a very wider legacy of scientific heritage, and where we had developed technology. Unfortunately, it is not being taught in the class nowadays. And I was also not aware about this thing, and 5 years back I came to know that we were having a large number of technologies, and our ancestors had developed quite a bit of science which will be helpful. In this course you will be learning about like what are the philosophy of doing this science and technology. And before that, like if you look at, like you might be wondering why we need to study the ancient Indian technology at this moment. And before that, we need to ask certain questions like, what do you mean by science, how it is useful? Can any of you tell me what do you mean by science? Because science is being taught from the class 1 onwards. What do you mean by that?
Science is the study of any object or anything systematically and in a well organized manner.
When organized. Any other answer?
Science is something which defines how to live actually, how it is defined, how the way of living.
Way of living, can you call it as a science? Because it is basically you want to know the governing laws, how the nature works, physical laws, and those things also have to be verifiable, right? That means, as the other person told, that it is a systematic study, and also it can be proved that it is right one. It is also subjected to scrutiny. So, therefore, we can say that science is a systematic knowledge about particular field of study or any field, and it builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanation. There should be some logic, there should be why it is so, how it is so, right? And it must have some predictive tools. Suppose you know certain laws or rules, then can you predict what is going to happen about the nature, about the universe? So, that we call it generally science. So, science is basically as old as human civilization, because man is basically a curious and creative creature by nature. So, therefore, it is his desire to know why it is happening, how it is happening, what can be done, like that quest for the knowledge which is inherent in the human life or inherent with the human beings are basis of developing a science. So, science is, as I told, is as old as civilization, and so also the technology. But question arises, what do you mean by the technology? Because all of us, we are a part and parcel of technology. Technology is also as old as civilization, because earlier days what being told to us that people were living in jungles, and slowly and steadily they moved out of the jungles and settled down and developed the technology of harnessing the various what you call food and then shelter and then other things to have a life. So, can you tell me what do you mean by technology?
Technology is something that can support science. For example, if we have earlier times we have parabolic mirrors to light up something. Even a dry leaf, we use a parabolic mirror
to concentrate the solar light or the energy, and then you ignite it. That is the point you are making, right? Okay.
So something which can support science is being defined by technology.
That means you can say that application of science by which you can develop a certain product or a process by which you can live a very what you call good life, right. So, therefore, we can say that technology is basically the practical application of science to design a product or a process with the help of innovative tools. As I told earlier, that man is a curious and creative creature. That means innovation is a part of human life, and it also the systems, and when you talk about a product or kind of things, you need to use materials. So, therefore, you will have to use tools, systems and material that improve the quality of human life, because always the man is quest for the knowledge and try to use it to their advantages to have a better life. That does not mean that we will be leading a life only with the embroiled with the materialism, right. We need to handle the material, but material need not to be taking away the essence of life from us. That is what is happening nowadays. So, therefore, basically technology, as I told, is as old as civilization. Then question is, what is the difference between engineering and technology? Can anybody tell me what do you mean by engineering? What are the differences between engineering and technology?
Maybe where welfare of society is involved.
No, but then what is that? See, is it engineering is same as that of the technology?
When technology is used in welfare of mankind or society, there.
No, that is always will be there. Any knowledge, as a matter of fact, is not only the science, not only the technology, but also the philosophy, also the sociology, psychology, any other form of knowledge is for the welfare of the human beings and also the environment where they live. That should be the motto, but unfortunately we do not look at it that perspective, but that is the motto what our ancestors always emphasize on that. So, engineering is basically a process of what you call doing. If you look at the engineering refers to the processes of doing. For example, like I know how to write, and our ancestors were knowing also, I mean very earlier Vedic time or some other time, like later on, that they were knowing how to write. For example, they can take a palm leaves and take a needle and go on writing, scribing it. But after that the pen came. Then even when I was a kid, we used to use ink and dip the nib of the pen and then write. Later on fountain pen came. Then the what you call ball point pen came, gel pen came. So, these are all technology, but the process, the engineering is that to have a pen, right, or the process of writing. So, therefore, is a thing, but let us, this is the way what we define. Let us see that what do you mean by silpa. We always talk about silpa. Silpa generally means is a Sanskrit word, but what we call is maybe some people translate into industry, right. When you talk about industry like silpa kind of things, then we call it basically it will be involving technology, it will be involving engineering, right. And it is also definitely when you talk about engineering technology, science always will be there. So, let us see what our scripture says about that. Nana vidhanang vastunang yantranang kalpasampadam dhatunang sadhanancha vastunam silpa sangitam. The meaning is that nana vidhanam is various kinds of techniques, machines like and also the bastunam, yantranang means machines and bastunang means basically materials. It can be basically products. Of course, you can make product from the materials and the process, and of course, when you talk about material, you need to know how to extractions kind of things, and sadhanang means transportation. You need to move from one place to another, and also the motion of the components one in a machine one can think of. And vastunang means habitats, like Vastu Shastra we talk about, that is basically how to make a building or a hut or a room or a palace or a fort. So, that is together we call it basically Silpa. That means it is a combination of engineering and technology, that we call it as a Silpa. Now, when you talk about this science and technology, question now arises that why you will be talking about India, and earlier days we call it as a Bharat, Bharat meaning basically which is always aspired to a better knowledge, that is the meaning of Bharat, you can see. And we need to know what is the strength of this, although lot of young people think that India is a very poor country and it is not doing well and we are having a lot of problems, we do not have any strength, but no, India is having a lot of strength. We need to relook at it. Therefore, we are looking at Indian ancient technology in this course. And this is a very introductory course what we will dealing with, because there is a lot of things are there which cannot be covered in 30 lectures. Therefore, I will be giving you a very bird's eye view of the technology which we are having the proofs for that. So, if you look at this, I have shown here the map of India in earlier days Bharat, nowadays in English we are calling it as India. So, if you look at this is the current map what we are having here, of course, this portion is Pakistan, right, and earlier it was a part of our country India before 1947, and there is also the portion of the Bangladesh, right, kind of regions here, and then before that is a part of the Afghanistan which was there in ancient time as a part of our country. And besides this like Bhutan and other places were there, and Tibet, those are the countries not with the India, but earlier it was a part of India. And if you look at that, you need to look at this map which is very important, because of there are several geographical things are there, and in this region it is basically Bay of Bengal. We are having a very good coastal line, and here in this place we are having Arabian Seas, this region, right, and we are having Kutch like Gujarat kind of things, and there is a desert area here which is a dry region, and we are having Himalaya. Himalaya is a very important place because we are having a ice cap there in the Himalaya, and which makes our country to be cool and maintain the temperature of this region. Trans Himalayas, Western Himalayas, if you look at, we are having Gangetic plains, it is a very great fertile land we are having which produces a lot of food grains, and we are having semi arid region here in this region, and this is the central highlands where we are having a lot of Vindhyachals are there, and then we are having also the, as I told, Eastern Ghat which is having mountain range that protects our country from the monsoon wind, and so also the western region, it is instrumental for having good rains in this place. And we are having Deccan Plateau regions and northeast regions where we get a lot of this thing, and Himalayan region. If you look at, it is a very great country having a geographically rich in that. If you look at, this is we are fortunate enough to have this country, and we have taken bath here because this country is having 52% of cultivable land as compared to world average which is 11%. That means food is very important, because as our scripture says, Anna Pratishta Deva. So, food is really very important for our life, and we can get very easily in this place because of our country where cultivable land is quite a large bit. And beside this, for the food we need to have hour of sun science. The time period of the sun science in a day in this country is quite high as compared to the world average. If you go to any other country, like it will be less. Of course, Pakistan, Bangladesh, these are our own part, and then so also Afghanistan. And we are having all 15 major climatic climatic regions, whatever in the whole world is there in this place. That is the earth what we are having in this country. And as I told that this is having a lot of climatic regions and very fertile land and lot of rains, water and other thing. Therefore, 10 biodiversity regions are available here. Therefore, lot of people even today are coming from outside country and living in jungles to look at our seeds, look at our biodiversity wealth, and then do research and take those components and they can recycle back to us with a tax with a more money, like we will have to pay for that. That means these are our resources. We are not aware. We should take care of that. And besides this, India has the largest livestock populations. That means like cows, goats, the domestic animals. It is from the time immemorial. We always a part of the animals which are helpful to us and also the other animals. We always believe that man is not only to live on this earth, man is one of them and also live together. That is the ethos with which our ancestors had lived, and that is there in our psychic even today. So, beside this, there are several rivers, large rivers like your Ganga and some portion of Brahmaputra also, and Mahanadi, Kaveri, Jamuna. There are several rivers, are there which are endowed with that, and we are very fortunate to have those rivers because they supply waters and then all those things. And beside this, mineral reservoirs are quite high, like we are having coal storage and which can continue even if we use at this rate maybe another 250-300 years of coal we can use that. And we are having bauxite which is having large reservoir, that is which we produce aluminum, so also iron, zinc and copper and several other minerals we are endowed with them. So, these are our wealth we should utilize. Not only that, India is having 25 official languages and which is having 1652 spoken languages which are being developed, and most of the languages are scientific in nature and it develops it, those are if are learned properly, it can help you to develop a good mind. Unfortunately, it is not being taken seriously and learning properly this language, and which must be retained, must be protected from the onslaught of English, which is dominating on the other language today. And beside this, we are having the very large populations, and people are here invariably intelligent and energetic in nature, and that is why they are also corrupted according to my interpretation, right. So, therefore, and they are not doing well for the development of our nation because they are not being educated properly, and education should be done properly such that they can channelize their intelligence and the energy for the welfare of the country, and also they can grow. So, it is because of bad education, because of unsupportive government and social systems by which they are being affected, they are not contributing. But I am sure if they are educated properly and under the better leadership, and social environment will improve and we can have a very good nice place to live, that is in this country. So, it is having a very good capabilities, and it must be harnessed properly and directed properly so that we can really do. So, therefore, it is important to look at our heritage and culture. And let us look at what is the difference between, basically I want to give like ancient and present India is geographically. If you look at India is having something 29 states and 7 union territories. Unfortunately, some of the states are being bifurcated in the process of bifurcation. So, it may be more states to come, And this is the map which I have shown. I mean, I need not to go through all the states, but earlier days, as I told earlier, that it is, I have taken the Mauryan dynasty, and which was something 265 BC. It is having territory not only the India larger portion except this southern portion and then eastern northeastern portion. Like it was having also the Pakistan and some portion of Afghanistan here somewhere, right. So, it is having a very large territory. And if you look at the chronology of major periods and dynasty, let us go through it because it may be helpful for us to get into the technology, how it is developed and where it was developed kind of things. And if you look at 25,000 years and before, that is known as prehistoric period. 3000 to 1500 BC we call Indus Valley civilization, and nowadays we are calling it Indus Saraswati Valley civilization because Saraswati river was there. I will be showing you a picture. And the major areas, if you look at, it comes under basically Sindh, Punjab, Gujarat and Haryana kind of thing. And although I have taken this 3000 to 1500 BC the period, but generally we believe it is 5000 BC, right. In our mind it is there. And recently IIT Kharagpur, they have done research. They have published this work in the Nature, which is a very prestigious journal, in 25th May 2016, and they have excavated the data, the Birana region in Haryana, and they are claiming that Indus Valley civilization not 3000 years back BC, it is basically 8000 years kind of things back, right. So, it is what you call older than the Mesopotamia, and that is the claim. I wish that it should be right one, and that is the thing what is there in our mind, and it is there in our scripture also, it is trying to prove. So, therefore, it is very important that we should do the research and carry it out, and the objective, the motivation for me to take this course is to encourage you people to do the research on the Indology and the ancient technology and other things, so that we can find out the truth what it is. And then 1500 to 500 BC, that is the proto-historic Vedic period, what people are saying. I have taken the data that which is being accepted worldwide, and that is the region is Punjab, Gangetic Plain and Kashmir region where the Vedic period, but however, our scripture says that Ved is around something 5000 years old minimum. That is the thing, it is quite old. So, therefore, more research is required to find out the exact date where we are having the Vedic period. Of course, that is the being accepted by the worldwide what I have quoted here, and 560 to 330 BC is a historic period where the lot of people took bath and they have contributed. I have just mentioned that about Gautam Buddha, Bimbisara, Ajatasattu, these are the king. You might be aware of Gautam Buddha, who was a profound of the Buddhism and which has crossed, which has spread, which was spread over the entire larger portion of Asia and other regions also. Ajatasattu and Maha Padmananda of Magadha, and during that time there was the invasion of Alexander. This invasion was being nullified, and by at that time the king Porus, and he was forced to go and have a truce with the Porus, the king in the frontier regions of India. And during that time there was a stalwart who came up, whose name is Chanakya. His name also, other name is Vishnugupta. He was instrumental of installing the Chandragupta as the king of Magadha, and which had done a wonderful work. He has written also Arthashastra, which is something 332 BC to 232 onwards. Of course, after that Bindusara and Asoka came. And there is a Sunga dynasty 192-71 BC. During that Saka invasion was there, but it was repulsed. And 320-647 there is the Gupta dynasty, which is the golden era of our history, what people talk about. There are several kings came up and they did a wonderful work like Chandragupta I, Samudragupta, Chandragupta II, Kumargupta, and during that time there was a Hun which invaded our country, and also that was being repulsed back, and of course, there are other kings like Skandagupta. Later on, of course, 1712 to 1192 in northern India, several dynasties, there is no single dynasty as such. Yashavan, Burman, Pratiharas of Kannakubs, Palas and Senas of Bengal, and Chalukya of Gujarat, Keshari of Kalinga and other things. And 300 to 1565 AD in the southern Indian dynasty, there are several kings, the dynasty came up like Pallavas, Kanchis, Rashtrakutas, like in western and central Deccan region, 850 to 1276 Cholas, and 1197 to 1323 AD is Kakatayas of Warangal. We will be discussing something about their technologies, and Ganga dynasty we will be talking about certain technology of their 1300 to 1500, and Gajapati dynasty in Odisha, and Vijayanagara empire was a very important in the southern side, that is 1336 to 1565. So, I will stop over here. Let us now look at what we have learned, that we have looked at what is the science, what is the meaning of technology, how it was defined in basically technology and the engineering in our ancient time, and what is the importance like of this country, what are the wealth we are having, what are the positive things we are having, and then we look at like chronologically how it is the various periods and dynasty in our history. In the next lecture, we will be discussing about basically why we need to look at ancient science and technology. Thank you very much.